I heard this story because I used to give a Chumash shir in Or Sameach to the beginner program, and also guys from Mir and Brisk used to come because I said my own chidushim and they enjoyed it, you know. So one of the people who came was Rav Nosson Tzvi's Gabbai, and he says to me, "I have to tell you a story. It's an unbelievable story." Yeah, he said the first part of the story you can look up; it's online. What's his name? Schultz, the guy who runs Starbucks. Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz wrote this up. He says he came with a trip to Israel of very rich people. And they met with many important people. And one of the people that they met with was Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel. And he says, we were all very uncomfortable because he was shaking because of his Parkinson's. And we were looking away. And he obviously picked up on it. And he bangs on the table and he says, listen, you people are very important people. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get this over with quickly. He says, we all understood that he was giving us a shtach. You understand? He says, what did we learn from the Holocaust? You have to have a Jewish state. You have to have a Jewish army. Never again. He says, what we learned from the Holocaust is that 5 Jews could sleep with 1 blanket. You have the blanket. Go back to America and share it with other people. Now, it was so interesting that he said that because there's a Gemara that says in the Dor of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, the people were so poor that 5 people slept with 1 blanket. And Reb Chaim Shmulevitz has a shmooze, and he says, how could 5 people sleep with 1 blanket? He says, the only way that 5 people could sleep with 1 blanket is every time you feel it on you, you push it over to the next person. And you always think of the other person. So it's always moving the whole night back and forth between the 5 of them. That's what Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says. And that's what Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel said to these rich people. And that is written up, you can find on the internet. He says, but I was the only witness. I was in the room with Rav Nosson Tzvi when Howard Schultz came back on a private trip. And he walks into Rav Nosson Tzvi's office and he signs a blank check. And he puts it down in front of him and says, Rabbi, fill it out for whatever you want. Now the budget of the Mir was $2 million a month. That's why everyone said, oh, it was such an unbelievable thing. Rav Nosson Tzvi was nifter, so they made his son Rosh Hashiva and nobody fought. Nobody's fighting over the schus to raise $2 million a month. Nobody wants that. You do it. No, you. No, I want to raise it. No. Take the job. Good luck to you, you know? But he could have filled it out for $2 million. When you're a billionaire, you know, that means $1 million, 100 times 100 million, another 100 times 100 million is $1 billion. $2 million, you wouldn't even notice that, you know. So forget about that. He probably could have filled it out for $24 million. He could have had the whole year off. It was very hard for him to travel because of his Parkinson's. His gabbai said there were some times when he would just have to lie on the bed and not move, and I would read him the Gemara. He couldn't look at a Gemara. He couldn't do anything, you know. Besides the fact that he wanted to be with his Talmidim more than anything, to be able to give shir. Yeah. I don't need a microphone, but he doesn't either, I guess. Anyway, he filled out for whatever he wants. And this is what the guy says. He says, so he said to Howard Schultz, I can fill it out for whatever I want? So he says, yeah. He fills it out for $1,200. So you can tell this is an old story. He fills it out for $1,200 and he gives it back to Howard Schultz and says, take it to that store across the street, buy yourself a pair to fill in and put it on every day. That's what you can do for me.